I was 26 when that night happened, and to this day I can still feel the way the air pressed against my skin, as if it too wanted to witness what unfolded. Some stories feel like they belong to someone else, like a movie you only watched once and yet memorized. But this was mine. Or maybe I should say ours. It was late, the building's hallway so narrow that even the walls seemed to lean in, conspiring. I held the key in my hand, trembling just enough to betray how the night had already unsettled me. When I pushed it toward the lock, it refused to slide in smoothly. It scraped, paused, and the sound echoed like a secret trying not to be revealed. My heart sped up. I shook the key, twisted it, tried again, nothing. Behind me, I felt him. Close. Too close. His warmth brushed against my shoulder before his voice even did. "Need help?" he whispered, as if offering more than just strength. I remember biting my lip, fighting the smile that wanted to escape. It wasn't just about the door, not really. It was about the pause between attempts, the tension of something stuck, resisting, yet tempting. And maybe you've been there before, at the edge of something you shouldn't touch, yet can't resist. By the way, if you're already curious where this is going, make sure you subscribe right now. This story only gets more twisted, and I promise you'll want to hear how it ends. I tried the key again, and once more it refused. My breath grew uneven, almost sinking with his, because now I could hear it. Slow, steady, as if he enjoyed the struggle more than the solution. The lock wasn't opening, but something else was.
His presence filled the corridor before his hands even moved. The hallway light flickered once, as if it too hesitated, then steadied again, bathing us in a glow that made every small detail impossible to ignore. My fingers still clutched the stubborn key, metal warm from my grip, but when his hand reached forward, slow, deliberate, I felt my pulse trip over itself. He didn't take it right away. He let his fingers brush mine, just long enough to blur the line between helping and holding. "Sometimes it just takes the right angle," he murmured. The words hung in the air with a weight that had nothing to do with locks or doors. He leaned closer, his chest grazing my back as he guided my hand. The key pressed against the lock again, hesitant, stubborn. It still didn't slide in. My breath caught, and I wondered if it was the lock resisting us, or if it was me resisting what was happening. The air thickened. Every scrape of the key against the metal echoed too loudly, like a secret whispered in a room where everyone could hear. I tilted my head slightly, just enough to catch a glimpse of his eyes in the reflection of the brass handle. Focused, steady, but deeper than the task at hand. He was watching more than just the key. I swallowed hard, my lips parting, though no words came. I wanted to tell him to stop, to say I had it under control. But the truth was, I didn't. Not with the lock. Not with my pulse. Not with the way the closeness blurred every...
The key trembled slightly between my fingers, though I tried to mask it as frustration with the lock. He stayed close, his hand now covering mine completely, guiding the motion with a patience that didn't feel like patience at all. It felt deliberate, drawn out, like he didn't want the lock to open too quickly. The sound of metal grinding against metal filled the silence, each failed attempt stretching the moment longer. I could feel his breath at the back of my neck, warm and steady, while mine came in shallow bursts. The corridor seemed narrower now, the walls pressing in, the ceiling lower, as if the entire space conspired to trap us in this unspeakable tension. "Don't force it," he whispered, his voice deep and low. His thumb traced the edge of my knuckles absent-mindedly, or maybe not so absent-mindedly. My skin tingled beneath the touch, every nerve awake, alert. I nodded but didn't move. I couldn't. My hand wasn't my own anymore. It belonged to his grip, his direction. The key pressed again, the tip catching just enough to make it feel like the lock might give. My knees weakened, not from the effort, but from the thought of what giving in might mean. The air smelled faintly of metal and dust, but underneath there was something else. His scent, grounding and intoxicating all at once. I dared to tilt my head back a fraction, and in that stolen angle our eyes met. His gaze held mine with a force I couldn't escape. Neither of us blinked. Neither of us breathed for that heartbeat. And then, just then,
The silence in that narrow hallway stretched longer than it should have, like a thread pulled so tightly it threatened to snap. My fingers, finally slipping the stubborn key into the lock, trembled not from frustration, but from the heat of him still hovering so close behind me. The air was charged, alive, as if the very walls had soaked in the tension of our near collision. I twisted the key slowly, deliberately, as though prolonging this final motion might keep the moment alive just a few heartbeats longer. When the door finally gave way with a soft click, the sound was almost deafening. It wasn't just a door opening, it felt like the last fragile barrier we had been pretending still existed. I stepped inside first, my chest rising and falling faster than I would ever admit. He lingered at the threshold, his shadow stretching into the room, his eyes locking on mine with an intensity that promised 1,000 unspoken things. There, in that dimly lit space, we both knew something had shifted forever. The hallway was behind us, but the memory of that pressed closeness stayed like an echo, a mark etched into skin without touch. I caught my breath, forcing a smile, pretending that it was nothing more than a stuck key. But deep down, I knew it was the beginning of a secret too powerful to ignore. He leaned casually against the frame, yet his breathing betrayed him, ragged, uneven, mirroring my own. Neither of us dared speak. Words would have broken the fragile magic still hanging between us. And that's how it ended, or rather, how it began. With a key, a lock,